Hey, this is Brian,
And Shelby.
and you're listening to the Hyperspace.
Pod Blast. Aren't you a little short for a podcast?
Huh? There's a new Star Wars movie with that smuggling man about where he came from and his hairy friend. It's called Solo. S-O-L-O, Solo.
You worked so hard on that.
I did. Thank you.
Good one.
I appreciate it. So yeah, new Star Wars, guys. So soon after the last one.
It's here.
It's weird. It snuck up on us without sneaking up on us. I don't know. It's a weird feeling to have another Star Wars movie so soon, I think.
Yeah. So, obviously, we're going to be talking about Solo today.
Yeah.
And
Super
we will
spoilery.
super spoilery. So, if you haven't seen it and you don't want to hear us talk about all the things that happen in it, stop listening and come back later.
Yeah. But if you're
Go see
listening
it.
to a Star Wars podcast and you haven't seen Solo yet, that's my brain just blew up.
Come on. Come on. Anyway,
Yeah. So what'd you think? First impressions.
I really liked it. At the end, I was like, oh, it's over?
Yeah, I agree. I had no idea it was as long as it was.
It felt like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I mean,
it moves pretty well.
it was
And there's a
fast.
lot going on.
I did have that, like, that's it? It's the
Yeah.
end? Yeah, but I liked it. It was a lot of fun. It was like a ride.
Yeah, for sure. And this time we decided to take our time. We've seen it twice now. We're not going to like half hour after watching it spill our guts. We're letting this one percolate a little.
Yeah, we
And I think I actually liked it better the second time. I think in general, if you're like a huge fan that gets that weird first viewing jitters, I think you have to see it twice because the first time you see it, you're just like so locked in.
Yeah, you're paying attention more to, like, the plot.
And then,
like,
yeah.
instead of, like, the details and things like that.
Well, yeah, and it ends, and you're just like, did I like it? I don't know. I can't tell. I'm nervous.
I'm
Wait, I think I
nervous.
liked it. Oh my gosh.
My hands are sweaty. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
exactly. So you need that second viewing to kind of calm down and actually watch it like a movie, I think. And it definitely played better, or at least as good the second time. So very nice.
When I knew what was coming and I didn't have to worry about, like, figuring out what was happening,
Right.
I could enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, you kind of settle into it.
Settle in.
Yeah.
Buckle up, baby.
I can't believe that he said that to Han.
I know,
I thought
that's-
for sure he was saying that to L3.
I liked it.
Yeah, that was some classic misdirection.
Lando was amazing.
He really was.
It-
His portrayal was spot on. It's funny how everyone was worried about Alden being Han/Harrison when I think Donald Glover did more to become a young Billy D. Williams than Alden did trying to be Harrison Ford.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think either of them were trying to be a young Harrison Ford or a young Billy D. Williams. I think they were trying to be a young
Right,
Han
the
Solo
character,
and Lando,
yeah.
and I think that's why it worked.
True.
Because, I mean, which is difficult. How do you really separate the character from those actors?
Yeah, that's a good point, especially in something like Star Wars that only exists on film. It's not like a movie adaptation of a book where the book can be whatever.
Right.
So, but anyway, let's dive into it. What's your first thought on the crawl, not crawl?
Well, I already know your thoughts. I was, like, fine with it. It didn't bother me at all. It was just like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're going to make me read, just give me a crawl. It's a Star Wars movie. I kind of wanted, like, I don't know, scenes of the kids stealing stuff with a voiceover or something. I didn't care for it, but I don't hate it that much, I guess. Hate it enough to mention it, but it's not the worst thing.
Okay.
But moving on, how about Lady Proxima? Rad.
She was awesome.
That was
She had
super
that,
cool.
like, Jabba feel.
Exactly.
But, like, different. Enough that it wasn't like, oh, this is just like a female Jabba or something
Yeah.
like that. No, it's...
It was a literal slumlord. Like, she lives in slum. It was so cool.
Her voice was great.
Yeah. I like the whole can't get in the sunshine thing. And the whole gag with the thermal detonator. No, you just made that noise with your mouth.
I know. That was really funny.
It
This
really
movie was
was.
funny. But
Yeah,
yet...
It was
yeah.
it was a joke that had a point, you know what I mean? And I mean,
Yes.
I guess the General Hugs joke has a point, but it was just not funny. But anyway. That was great.
Beat that dead horse.
Yeah, really. I know. I'm sorry. But yeah, I like the whole Oliver Twist beginnings that he had. It was very, I don't know, kind of sad but fun at the same time.
I know. I liked it a lot. I think that's a good way to introduce Han and his upbringing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was cool to see Corellia.
Yeah.
And Corellian hounds, which are awesome.
Those are terrifying and awesome.
They reminded me kind of the dog on the Minions or the Despicable Me movie. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like how it looks terrible, but it can be cute at the same time.
They were kind of cute.
Yeah. Like I could see it being asleep in a little dog bed, slobbering with his little leg.
It's just how
kicking.
you raise them.
Exactly. Would have been adorable.
Misunderstood breed.
So what about the new trooper that we really only see? He kind of pulls out like a CHP there and then gets smashed.
I thought he was cool. I mean, and it's funny, I see that kind of stuff and I'm like, ooh, the 501st will have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, for sure. I actually really like it. It's like a hybrid scout trooper, stormtrooper. Yeah. Very rad.
And the bike thing that he was on was...
Yeah, it reminded me of Rey's speeder. Just kind of that boxy shape.
I liked it.
Very cool. So what do you think about his love interest?
Kira? I mean, I like Kira a lot, and I think that they kind of missed the mark a little bit on giving her a little more depth. They needed to have her be more than just the love interest of Han that he's always trying to get back to. I mean, I don't know. Some people would say that she had a lot of stuff. When she's on Kessel and she's like throwing those grenades, that's pretty...
Yeah, that was awesome.
Awesome. But they kept saying like, she's done awful things, and they never like kind of dug into that. And I wish they would have. I mean, maybe they will. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie kind of set up for a second Solo movie.
Yeah, there's a lot still unanswered, which is good. I like that. I think we spoke about that last episode, or I don't know, at some point, how you don't have to answer all the questions.
Right.
It's nice to have some open-ended stuff. But I think you're right. I think this could definitely bleed right into how's Han get himself involved with the Hutts and all that.
Yeah, or it just leads into a Maul movie.
Oh, geez.
Oh, stop. But it could be loosely connected, and it could be like a Maul movie. And it kind of is a continuation, but not really. I don't know. I would enjoy it. I know you wouldn't, but...
I'm sure I would enjoy it. It's just like, leave the poor guy dead already.
Anyway, to answer your question, though, about Kira, I loved her. Her very complicated relationship with Han was interesting.
And I like how neither of them really moved on from each other, but Kira just went for the bigger score, I guess. Like, she was just locked in that survival mode and couldn't kind of, she had her way out, but she was like, that's not exactly a good foothold way out. If I do this, I will be pretty secure, kind of become what you hate type thing.
Yeah. I mean, I like that we have someone it's a woman who's out for herself.
Yeah, and she's kind of become a villain. Like, in the next movie, you could really play Han and Kira against each other.
But like this, like, weird...
Kind of like an Obi-Wan Asajj Ventress, except they would have had a past relationship, so it would have been even more intense.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Be interesting. Yeah, I like her. My problem, I guess, with a lot of the supporting characters is that they're just kind of there. I think it's kind of like you said, that it's not that they don't have depth and they're not good characters. Like, even Val, for example, was a great character, but like, she was gone in the blink of an eye. You didn't have time to care about him, really.
For no reason.
Yeah, that's true. I think, like, I understand self-sacrifice for a cause, but this cause was getting your friends a bunch of money.
And also,
that's not much of a cause.
At that point, you were saying, like, why did the bridge need to be blown up? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I think on the first viewing, I was like, they uncoupled the train. Why'd they blow the bridge up? But I think you have to get it off the track because there's that over and under thing.
Oh.
So I think but at that point, I'm like, guys, the job is bunked. I'm not blowing this bridge up because I'm going to die. Like, I'm not blowing this bridge up so you can make money and I die. That just doesn't seem like the thing that a scoundrel, smuggler, criminal would do.
Right.
Like, if you wait long enough, the train coming is going to keep those Viper droids from giving you all their attention, at least, and you have some way to escape in theory, or at least shoot them. I don't know. That didn't play right with me. And it, as some people have mentioned, she does kind of get fridged, I guess, though I think she just gets shafted in the worst possible way. That she doesn't even really further Beckett's story. He's sad about it for 30 seconds, punches Han in the face, and then they move on.
I know, like, it doesn't seem like he's that upset.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I loved Rio.
Yes, Rio was awesome.
Rio was awesome. And I'm okay with Rio dying because, like, he has to take the place of the pilot. But
right, yeah. I mean, they were all literally placeholders. They were the old crew that had to be gotten away with so he could fill in the new crew with, you know, Kira, Lando, the new people that were coming into the story.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would have been too crowded.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it could have worked, but yeah.
I don't know.
Rio
they
was
should
awesome.
have just killed them a better way. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Or just double-crossed them or something. I don't know. We're not here to do that kind of discourse. But anyway, speaking of other characters, what about Chewie? What do you think about the Han meets Chewie?
I loved it. I really loved it. Him speaking to him to get his attention. I know you didn't like it at first, but I liked it a lot.
That is cheesy as all get out, but it makes sense the way you described it to me.
Yeah, because you were saying like, oh, it's dumb that he was like...
Yeah, I was like, he could understand English. Why did he have to speak in this bad Shriwook?
It's like, well, I'm sure everyone that he's like beaten up and eaten in that, like, I don't know what you call it.
Dungeon or
something. Whatever. They're all saying, please don't, no, stop, blah, blah, blah. Like, if he's not going to listen to him.
True.
They're all the same. If he makes that connection with Chewie saying, like, look, I care enough about you to speak in your language. I mean, that's like a bonding sort of thing. I mean, as soon as he hears it, he stops and listens because he probably hasn't heard anyone speak to him in that language.
Yeah, that's
true. Who knows
true.
how long.
That is a really good point, yeah. And I like their, like, fake fighting, break the thing down. I was a little disappointed because I was like, oh, is this like a Rancor homage? Is there a Rancor down there? Please let there be a Rancor down there.
Of course.
But then Chewie came out and I was like, okay, this is cool too.
Yeah, the shower scene was funny.
Yeah. See, yeah, that
was like some really good humor.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked
Very
it a lot.
well worked in humor. Like the funny parts of real situations, I guess, that kind of really works as humor.
Mm-hmm.
Humor. All the Han and Chewie moments, though, were, I don't know, those two are just such a pair. It's like Han and Chewie and C-3PO and R2 are the best Star Wars pairs.
I agree. What do you think of Beckett?
I thought Beckett was awesome.
Me too.
He was a very DJ-esque character, which is, you know, pulling on my heartstrings.
Mm-hmm.
He was very well portrayed by Woody Harrelson. Like all the parts were just spot on. I think that's part of how easily you slide into the movie, and the length doesn't seem to be as long as it is because it's so well played and well shot and visually stunning. Every shot has depth. You're just really sucked into the story. Yeah. Which helps it not feel like it drags. And I mean, it just doesn't drag. It's a pretty good, like... It's
fast-paced.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
There's not a lot
Beckett's
of downtime.
amazing. To see him, like, whenever they're in the war, and he's, like, gunslinging.
Oh, heck yeah. Spinning
that's so
things. And
awesome.
Yeah.
You know, as someone who enjoys Westerns, that was so fun.
Well, and it was kind of an homage to what Han does in The Force Awakens, where he kind of no-look turns and shoots that guy. Mm-hmm. And you see Han look at him and be like, I want to be like that. And eventually he does, but just not the same kind of character. Yeah. But very cool. Very cool stuff. The only thing I would say with it was a little disappointing is just the short amount of time they spent together. Yeah. It would have been cool if they would have done it like an 80s montage of them pulling a bunch of heists or something in between to give them a little more connection. Depth. Yeah. Because, you know, Han finally shoots first again. And you want to be like, oh, but you're like, yeah, okay, he doesn't really know him that well. And he's clearly going to get killed if he doesn't do that. So,
yeah, that's the thing. I think that's what this film was missing, was some like gravity in a lot of different situations. So I would say gravity they should have had a scene with Dryden and Kira to give depth to both of those characters, because Dryden was just kind of like hollow shell. I liked him. I thought he was like really nasty looking and he was super evil, but they needed a scene of him. I mean, sure, they had that one scene of him killing someone. It's like, okay. But
yeah, okay, there's a crime boss that just killed somebody. You don't say.
Yeah, really. I wanted him doing some like tortuous, like terrible stuff. I mean, sure, it's a kid's movie still, but true. I would want to see something like that, something where he's maybe having a moment with Kira and like being, I don't know, creepy and she's like biding her time or reflecting on things that she's done for him or something like that. I also think they needed something serious, a conversation between Lando and L3.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they needed like a serious moment between him and L3, especially talking about the droid's rights stuff.
I like the heart-to-heart sort of that L3 and Kira had, where she describes how
Han's in love with her.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, not Han. Lando is in love with her.
Well, and Han's in love with Kira, yeah. So either way. But yeah, something like that. You get that from Last Shot.
But not everyone's going to read Last Shot.
Exactly. Like, and unfortunately, the whole droid rights thing plays as a gag.
Which, if what they were trying to go for, the analogy that I think they were trying to go for the droids rights stuff, it should have had some more gravity to it, because you're right, it does seem like a gag. But then I was trying to doing my fan mental gymnastics. I was like, well, it kind of like relates to how sometimes people view other people speaking up for their rights as a gag or something like that, or just annoying or whatever. It shows that everyone rolls their eyes when it's actually a serious thing.
Right.
But I think they just needed a serious moment of like Lando saying, I understand, or supporting her.
Mm-hmm. And there's a passage, I don't remember where it is. I think it's in part 2 of Last Shot that does exactly that. But you're right. You know,
it should have been on screen, I think.
Yeah, the majority of people aren't going to read that. So it will be kind of like a, haha, look at that silly robot wants to be a person. Oh, restraining bolts, human overlords, or whatever they say. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But
organic overlords.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, they needed to do more with her so that I cared more.
And I hate to say that because she's an awesome droid
I love
character.
Her.
It's cool that she was there and, that, it works.
That was funny.
But it's weird that, I wasn't emotionally invested in any of the characters that ended up dying, really.
No.
Maybe a little bit Beckett, but that's about it.
Yeah, I just feel like I didn't have enough time to really, miss them. I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know if it's time. Maybe they should have given me some stuff that made me care more about them. I don't know. Hard to put that into words of what it could have been or should have been. I don't know. But I like the movie. I'm not trying to this was terrible and I don't
not at
care.
all. No, it was great. This is a good time. I would definitely see it again. If you were like, let's go watch Solo, I'll be like, okay, here we go.
It's just a really fun movie. And I think that's one thing, too, that people need to remember is that not every movie needs to be the best movie ever.
Yeah, true.
You can have just okay movies and enjoy them, and that's just what they are.
Mm-hmm. But just okay movies don't involve Enfy's Nest.
Oh my gosh.
What a character. Talking about winning hands down for the new character.
That is a character that made me care about them.
Oh, absolutely.
I care about her. I care about her backstory. I care about her mom. I care about her whole group.
Well, and I cared even at the beginning because the he version that comes in, because I think they refer to Enfy's Nest as a he at some point, do they?
Maybe.
Before she takes the mask off and everyone's like, what? But anyway, the character is awesome. Just, it's got that classic Star Wars cool looking appeal. Comes in, the fight on the train is great. Cool speeders. There's nothing
the cool
not
voice.
There's nothing not to like.
And then she turns out to be this badass pre-rebellion leader.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Right?
I'm in love with that character. That's the character that they made me enjoy just so quickly. If you think about how much time that they had on screen, it's not that much, but they made me care about her. Finally, we have a cool looking character who doesn't just kind of fall on their face. She didn't go the way of Maul and Boba and Phasma.
Yeah.
Finally, the cool looking character is an awesome character too. I mean, not saying that those characters aren't awesome, but they don't just die very quickly.
Yeah, they didn't get... Well, I mean, 2 of them.
Well...
Or maybe all of them came back to life. We'll see. Boba's TBD, but...
TBD. What did you... Okay, so since I brought up Maul, do you want to talk about Maul?
I mean, it was kind of neat. At first, I thought it was the Emperor, and I was like, what are they doing? The Emperor wouldn't order a crime syndicate to... Oh, that's Maul. That's basically how it went.
Yeah, I mean, I know how you feel, but I liked it. I like Maul. I'm excited to see more Maul. I'm sure that it's confusing for some audiences.
Well, yeah, the friend that we went with thought it happened before the Phantom Menace because he was like, okay, Maul died. That's weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting inclusion of some of the stuff that I always thought would never be seen on screen, and I like it, but at the same time I wonder, like, oh, does this give fanboys that actually moment in real life now? And
Maul came back and had spider legs, and then he did all these things, so it makes absolute sense.
Yeah, and it does make sense. I would have rather been Jabba or something. I think that would have been cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see Jabba.
I think everyone wanted to see Jabba. I don't know, maybe some people didn't, but yeah, I did.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was an interesting choice, and the Duel of Fates coming on during that moment, and the reflection of the lightsaber in Kira's eyes, like, I mean, visually,
even though there's literally no reason for him to light the lightsaber.
I know.
Check this out. Did you know I had one of those? Bet you didn't.
It's Star Wars, so I gotta light one of these.
Yeah. It's like in the Disney contract, every movie must have at least one lightsaber.
Yep, definitely. But speaking of like visual stuff, this movie, the costumes were fantastic.
Yeah, it's a cornucopia for the eyes. There's so much to see, including, gasp, original trilogy aliens.
I don't know what that was.
It was exciting to see some Twi'leks, some Rhodians, some classic boys. It was nice to see a Two Tubes alien, Tognath, I think they're called, something like that. But it had a little bit of everything. Plus, new aliens, which is always good.
Yeah.
Especially new aliens that like to play Sabacc.
Sabacc is so cool.
Really
I wish
is.
the Sabacc cards we had the same symbols.
Yeah.
Plus, our friend said, that game would be a lot more fun if you were betting actual money.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure, like I said then, that since it's supposed to be a kid's game, they probably thought maybe gambling isn't the right idea. But
we're totally gonna get some like poker chips, I think, next time.
Yeah, for sure. Or play with nickels or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is fun. Anyway, you should check it out if you haven't.
Very fun game.
Yeah.
It's called, the Han Solo card
game?
game?
Yeah, Han Solo card game.
People probably don't want to buy a game called Sabacc.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't know what it was, even though it would have Star Wars logos all over it.
I get it. Marketing.
Yeah, still. So moving back to the movie, what did you think of the Kessel Run? We actually got to see the Kessel Run.
I loved it.
Wasn't it cool?
It was extremely cool. Going into like the gases and such.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what they called it.
The maw.
I liked it a lot. That creature was so cool.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, but for a second I was like, oh God, is this a Purgle? Oh God, is it?
That would have been hilarious. And it's just chilling there with Thrawn. He's like riding it. Yeah!
Oh my God.
Anyway, yeah, no, it was like a multi-eyed beholder from D&D.
It was crazy.
That's what I thought. It was cool.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And the gravity well idea and shooting off the escape pod was so cool.
I kept wondering the whole time. I was like, are they going to do anything about the gap being filled? And then they did, and it was cool.
And the dish coming off.
Yeah, that was a nice little... There were like so many homages, like the move along, and...
Yeah. What'd you think about him getting his name?
I didn't care. I mean, that's kind of
whatever. Some people were like, oh gosh. And I'm like, it's pretty...
Yeah, it's kind of how they did things. Like when you rocked up at Ellis Island, if you only had a first name, they just gave you something. What do? I mill things. Well, your last name's Miller. Bye.
Bye.
So, yeah, I thought it was fine. I don't know. I haven't even really thought about it. It's kind of cool. Makes sense. Move on. There's so many other cool things to think about in this movie that I haven't even really bothered to give it much thought.
Honestly, I really love that L3 is part of the Falcon.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. Though it kind of makes me sad that it's not Lando's.
Yeah. Actually.
But it's a cool, unexpected little tidbit that I almost said that I didn't expect, but that's what unexpected means. But yeah.
Unexpected.
Exactly.
I love it too because we always talk about the Falcon having like a character and it being like a character of its own in the movies. And this just gives so much more weight to that.
Yeah,
and you think about it having a personality, and it absolutely fits with the personality of L3.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of being like cobbled together, kind of being
only
responsive.
Only responsive when it wants to be responsive. I don't take orders from you, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it makes it more interesting when they refer to it as a she.
Yeah.
Because now it's
not just like that whole like ship thing being called a she. It's like
definitely partly she.
I'm
Very
into
cool
it.
stuff. So what do you think about the actual battle on Kessel and Chewie getting to free some slaves?
I think that like almost made me cry.
Mm-hmm. That was great.
Powerful.
And I love how he came back.
Yeah.
I was surprised that L3 got waxed, though.
I was surprised, too. I did not think that was going to happen.
No, I thought she was going to make it to the end. But then, of course, we wouldn't have that cool part of her being part of the ship and all that.
Yeah.
I like the little sort of nitrous boost they gave the Falcon, too.
Oh, that was
get out of
awesome.
That was cool.
I thought that was very, very interesting. And I don't know. That's definitely out of the box.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you've seen before, like rubbing the engine with cheetah blood, as Fry would say, but never really seen it in Star Wars. It was cool. And I think the whole idea of fuel was cool because it's something that they talked about in The Last Jedi, and it's something you kind of just take for granted a lot in sci-fi in general.
Yeah.
Like all these ships have to run on something.
Fuel, ammo, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I love how at the end, the first time I was watching, I was like, wait, he doesn't have a Falcon.
Yeah, right. Wait a second.
Wait a minute.
And you find out Lando's the actual cheater. He has a little trigger card. Make sure he has the winning hand. Sneaky.
Smooth.
Yeah. I like how Han steals it, though.
Yeah, and he's like,
so
if you had this.
Uh-huh. I like it earlier, too, when he knows, like, he was counting cards. He knew that shouldn't have been there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very cool. Very astute. Definitely a smart smuggler.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the sort of multiple twists at the end?
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's a very like Ocean's spy movie thing.
Yep.
James Bond-ish.
And it was very much like Beckett said, if you would have been paying attention. And he's like, actually, I was paying attention. I like how they were like, how did you make these fakes? I didn't. That's the real thing.
That's the real thing.
So good. So very cool.
Yeah. The Enfys Nest fake out was cool as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a very classic sort of misdirection thing. Think that you have him and then surprise attack. Very good stuff. What about learning that Han's heart of gold has been there all along and it wasn't necessarily Leia who tamed the beast?
Yeah, I like that because I don't like that idea of like Leia bringing out the good in him. Like he's always been good. Mm-hmm. And Kira saying, I know who you really are.
Yeah.
The good guy.
Yeah. And it's such a parallel to his son because Han is a good guy trying to be this bad, notorious criminal. And Kylo is this inherently good kid who's just like, no, I'm bad. Look, I'm evil. Look what I do. Look at all this stuff. I'm bad. That's how Kylo speaks, I think.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I thought that was a very interesting, I don't know if they did that purposefully or if it's just something that came out, I don't know, organically or whatever you want to call it. But I thought that was a pretty interesting tie-in to the saga at large.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I just kind of want to go watch it now that we've been talking about it.
Same.
It's such a fun movie.
It is. It's legitimately just a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So if you all have thoughts on Solo, if you liked it, you didn't like it, or somewhere in between, or not sure yet, be sure to let us know and we'll have a conversation on Twitter at hyperspace_pod.
Our emails are always open at hyperspacepodblast@gmail.com.
And you can always check out our content on hyperspacepodblast.com.
That's us. And that's a wrap. Everyone go see Solo.
Yeah! Bye!
Thanks for listening.
Bye!